Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been forever since I made a video, but I was getting ready to cook today and I decided to pull out my camera and go ahead and film. I am gonna do a cook with me and I'm gonna be making wajilla, which is a Malian dish that my family really likes. And I have a quick story actually about this. So the first time that I tried wajilla, I did not like it. I was like, what is this stuff? It is disgusting. And then we went to Mali for my sister-in-law's wedding and we went to my husband's aunt's house. And we didn't know what they were gonna have for dinner. And out she brings like this big pot of like wajilla. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I can't be rude and not eat this, but I just don't like it. And so I fixed myself like a little bit because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like pretend to eat it. And y'all, I don't know what happened between the first time and the second time that I had it, but that time when I had it in Mali, I was like licking the plate. It was so good. And ever since then, that has been my favorite dish. So as soon as we got home, I asked my sister-in-law to show me how to make it. And that is how we got here today. So I'm really excited to share this dish with you guys. And just a disclaimer for anyone that watches this video, I am not Malian. I'm not. So I might not be making this dish like in the most traditional sense, in the most traditional way, but this is the way that I make it and my family likes it. And so, you know, we make it work. So yes, I hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to like and to comment and to subscribe. And also, if you guys do like wajilla, comment down below and let me know. If you're from Mali, let me know what your favorite Malian dish is. And if you maybe never heard of this dish, but after watching the video, you plan on making it, let me know also. And until next time, bye. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Okay guys, here are the ingredients that I'll be using today to make the wajilla. In this bowl, I have about 2 pounds of lamb that I have already washed and cleaned. For this recipe, you can use either lamb or beef, whatever you prefer, whatever you have on hand. This is just what I had at my house. In this bowl, I have 1 large white onion and about 2 Roma tomatoes. If you're using regular sized tomatoes, 1 will probably be just fine. I also have 2 bay leaves. In this container, this is actually an African seasoning. I don't know what it's called, but we will be using this today. I have some dates. I will show you how we're going to use those later. Also, we have 1 can of tomato paste, some vegetable oil, black pepper, this Badia Saison. I really like this. It tastes good and I like adding it to just about everything. And I also have some parsley flakes. If you have fresh parsley, go ahead and use that, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm just going to use that. And I also have 5 eggs that I already boiled this morning. Boiled eggs are optional for this recipe. Sometimes I add it, sometimes I don't. Today I wanted to be a little fancy, so that's why we're adding boiled eggs. And yeah, so that's all the ingredients we're going to use. And also you're going to need a blender or food processor. For the onion and the tomato, you're going to go ahead and put that in your blender food processor. If you have a Ninja like me, I put it on the puree setting, and then we're going to go from there. Okay guys, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and take that onion and tomato. I'm going to put it in my blender and put it on the puree setting and just blend it up until it gets to the consistency I want, and then I will be adding it to my pot. Put the top on and let it cook for another maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Once you put the eggs in, you don't want to let it cook too long because the eggs will kind of start to break apart since they're already cooked. So make sure you're... Okay guys, so in my pot right here, I have about 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. I'm going to go ahead and let that heat up. And then once it's heated up, I'm going to add in my onions and tomatoes that I blended up in my blender and let that fry for a little bit. Okay guys, so in my pot I have added my onion and tomato, and I'm just gonna kind of stir that around and let it fry a little bit. And once that gets to the point where I'm liking the color, I am going to go ahead and add in my lamb and all my seasonings that I showed you guys at the beginning. I'm gonna stir that all around and continue to let it cook. Okay guys, so at this point I have added my meat and I went ahead and stirred that all around in the tomato and onion mixture. And now I'm gonna begin adding my seasoning. So when I cook, I don't really measure my seasoning. I just kind of season according to how I feel, and you know, how I want the dish to taste. So go ahead and just let your spirit lead you as you're seasoning your food, and I promise it's gonna come out amazing. I just used my blender that I used to blend the onion and the tomato. I filled it up with some water and I poured it in the pot, and now we are just gonna let this boil for a little bit so it can get to cooking. And then for your next step, if you have date paste, you don't have to do this, but I don't have date paste, I just have real dates. So what I have done is I took about a cup of water and I just boiled it on my stove until it was hot, and now I'm gonna take that cup, that boiled water, and pour it onto my dates in this bowl right here, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do next. So excuse me, Hawa. So we just take it, pour it here.
Are you using raisins?
No, they're dates. Okay guys, at this point my pot has been boiling for about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna take my jar of tomato paste and go ahead and add that in. And as you can see, I had a little helper. My daughters are helping me add the tomato paste. And as we're doing that, I had a little tomato paste that was left in the jar. So I went ahead and took some of the liquid out of my pot, put it in that jar, stirred it around, and you're gonna just pour it back into that pot and go ahead and incorporate your tomato paste into the pot. And once that's done, you're just gonna put the top on there and let it continue to cook. Okay guys, at this point I was just checking on my food, giving it a good stir to make sure it's not sticking at the bottom. And then once again, you're gonna put your top on and just let it continue to cook. One thing about making wajilla that I really like is it's not something where I have to stand over the stove and nurse like all day long, so you can definitely do other things while you're cooking. Now guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do with those dates. So first I'm taking my hand and I'm kind of breaking them up since they were whole dates, just to kind of get them in smaller pieces. And then I kind of just leave them sitting in the water. You're gonna leave them sitting in the water. I normally leave mine for about 30-45 minutes just so they can kind of all break up, and then I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do once that's done. Okay guys, at this point my food has been cooking for about 35-45 minutes. I went ahead and took the top off. I'm giving it a good stir. As you can see, the water level has started to go down, so I'm going to use my same blender from earlier, and I'm just going to add some more water in there, just enough to kind of cover the meat, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it a good stir. Okay guys, at this point I took the top off and I went ahead and gave my food a good stir, and now we're gonna get ready to add our dates. So I'm taking like a handheld strainer. You just need to use one that has really fine holes so none of the big pieces of dates fall through. And I'm gonna take my mixture and pour it in there, and then I'm just taking the dates that are in there, the big pieces, and kind of rubbing them through so all that flavor can get into my pot. But you don't want to get the really big pieces, so just make sure you use a strainer that has really fine holes. Okay guys, as I was getting done putting the dates, I remembered that I forgot to show you guys the seasoning that you're supposed to use for this. So this seasoning, I don't really know what it's called, but it's kind of like a mix of cinnamon and some other spices. And you're just gonna go ahead and add that in. Normally, I would have added this in when I added all my seasonings at the beginning, but I forgot. And so that's why I'm adding it now, but no worries, it's not gonna change the taste or the flavor of anything. So go ahead and add that in. We're just gonna stir it up. And once again, put our pot on our top and just let it cook. Okay guys, at this point I checked my pot and I realized there wasn't enough seasoning in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add some more seasoning and give it a good stir. And I'm also gonna get ready to add in my eggs. So I peeled my eggs off camera, and then you're just gonna place your eggs in your pot and give it a good stir. Make sure with the eggs you kind of add it in the last 5 to 10 minutes, because since they're already cooked, if you add them in earlier, they'll kind of start to break and fall apart, and then you won't have whole eggs. You'll just have pieces of eggs all over your pot. Okay guys, it's been about 5 minutes. I went ahead and took the top off and gave it a stir, and it's looking good. I'm gonna taste it one more time to make sure that the flavor is right. And at this point, my food is done. I'm gonna put my top on there and go ahead and turn off my fire and just let it rest. Okay guys, at this point we're getting ready to do my favorite part, and that is the bread for the wajilla. Make sure you wash your hands and go ahead and clean off whatever surface you're gonna use. I'm doing it on my cabinet. So I'm going to get a bowl and put a little bit of oil in there, and you can set it to the side because you're going to use that in a second. And then I'm going ahead and putting some flour on my cabinet so my dough will not stick as I'm working with it. This is store-bought dough, so all I did was take it out of my freezer. I let it thaw and left it sitting out until it doubled in size. One good tip is if your house isn't super warm, you can set it outside. That's what I normally do, and it helps it kind of rise a little quicker. So here I'm just taking my big piece of dough and breaking it into 3 smaller pieces of dough. And those 3 smaller pieces of dough, I'm going to break each of those into 3 or 4 smaller balls of dough. And that'll make it a lot easier to work with. Normally with this amount of dough, I get anywhere from 12 to 15 pieces of bread, which is pretty good. That's enough for like 2 days worth of food for us. And so what I'm going to do is you take each little piece of dough, and you're going to take your thumbs and you're going to push the dough into itself. You're just kind of trying to make a little ball. So you just do that a couple of times until it makes a little ball, and you're done. And you're going to do that with each piece of dough. You just kind of take your thumbs, push it into itself, and leave it out. Once you're done, you're going to take a strainer, and I put a little oil on top of each piece of bread so it won't stick. I place it in my strainer, and then you're going to go ahead and steam that dough on top of a pot of boiling water. Okay guys, so at this point my bread has been steaming for about 15-20 minutes. I'm tapping on it to make sure it's done. It sounded done to me, but I went ahead and stuck my toothpick in there just to double check. The toothpick came out clean, and so that means your bread is done. And now y'all are going to see me on the struggle bus because I'm trying to take the bread out of the strainer and not burn myself at the same time. You guys, when you do this step, wear some oven mitts. Don't be like me and burn yourself. But yes guys, pretty much that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun doing this video. If you like this video, watching me cook, and if you have any recipe ideas, or you want to see me make any other Malian dishes or just regular food in general, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.